Alrighty, y'all. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back here to another live stream, my friends. I hope everyone is having a wonderful, wonderful morning so far. Happy Thursday, June 13th, everybody. We got ourselves quite an active day regarding severe weather for today, as well as the tropics. The tropics are actually picking up. We're going to talk about that as well in this live stream. We're going to go over pretty much the entire weather cycle here in the next little bit. Because, like I said, we got ourselves pretty active weather here, both in the tropics and on land here. But what's up, everybody? Hope everyone's doing good. Let's go ahead and see who we got here for today. Gonna give a warm welcome here to Asin. We have Landon. We have Daisy. We have Brooklyn. Let's see who else is here. We have Charlie. We have Rich. We have Roby. Let's see. Did I already say Caleb? Caleb's here. We got BB. Hope you're doing good. Let's see here. Daisy's here. And Misty's here as well. And of course, everybody else, also Luke, and everybody else who is not chatting but is here. What's up, Donna? Hope you're doing good. What's up, Misty? But anyways, y'all, hope everyone's doing good. Good morning to you all. So we got ourselves a pretty active day regarding severe weather for today. Another level 3 threat for today has been issued out there. So today's biggest concerns for severe weather is going to be out there towards like northern portions of Missouri, as well as like kind of southeastern Iowa and like central and western portions here of Illinois. We got ourselves a level 3 out of 5 severe weather threat. So we're going to definitely need to be watching out there for the weather for today across those regions. Now, we do have a slight risk going all the way from basically the Texas Panhandle, shooting all the way up into Michigan, central southern Michigan, in a level 2 threat for today, which is still a decent shot for severe weather. So heads up to you guys across the yellow as well. Now, we have our lower end severe weather event here, expected as far west as actually portions of Colorado. Just north of Denver is actually in a marginal risk, a level 1 severe weather threat. So it's possible we could get a couple strong 2 severe storms out there. So we'll definitely keep an eye out there for that. And of course, actually, the marginal goes all the way up even into the upper state of Michigan here as well, which is certainly pretty broad, a pretty large area here today. We need to be looking out there for regarding severe weather. So now, obviously, whenever it comes to tornadic activity, like I said, we do got ourselves a potential for a couple tornadoes today. We got ourselves a 5% risk for tornadoes out there. So the greatest potential for tornadoes today will be up there kind of in northern Missouri, southeastern Iowa, and portions like western Illinois here. So that right there, my friends, that is where we have the greatest potential for tornadic activity. Now, the overall tornado risk goes out there for places even in northeastern Kansas, southern Iowa, central and northern portions here of Missouri, central and northern Illinois, northern Indiana, pretty much the entire state of Michigan. We got ourselves a tornado threat. So across the dark green, I want you guys to know, while there is a potential for a couple isolated tornadoes, the odds are very low, and the potential of you actually getting a tornado is extremely low. So don't let that worry you too much. Like I said, it's a level 1 tornado threat there, which, like I said, it's pretty low end. It's nothing to really freak out about, but, it's something that can't be ruled out. An isolated tornado or two could be possible. But once again, yeah, the greatest potential for tornadoes today is going to be up there in northern Missouri, southeastern Iowa, and places out there kind of along western Illinois. So just a bit of a heads up for you guys out there. Now, here's where things get a little crazy. So yesterday's event, we had that hatch risk for hail. We were talking 2 inches in diameter hail and larger. We did not have a significant risk for damaging winds. However, today we do. We got ourselves a hatch risk out there, a 30% hatch risk for, sorry, my program's being a little glitchy. Let me restart this real quickly. Let me go ahead and get this up and running, because my that program's being a little bit slow this morning. Probably just needs a refresh or something. But we do have ourselves a hatch risk for damaging winds here for today. So we're definitely going to have to watch out there for damaging wind gusts. We're talking potentially strong wind gusts, probably 70, 80 plus maybe. We are definitely talking some pretty strong winds being a possibility here. Let me wait for this thing. Here we go. It's starting to load now. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this program back up and running. Hopefully it'll run a little bit faster this time. Like I said, it's probably just needed an update, and it already looks like it's a lot smoother. Okay, cool. So we do got ourselves a hatch risk, a 30% risk for damaging winds 70 plus miles an hour. Now, this does include areas like Kansas City, portions out there in northern Missouri here, and we got ourselves portions, like a really small portion of southeastern Iowa out there by Mount Pleasant, Burlington, Bloomfield area, places out there in Illinois along the kind of northwestern side, kind of the western side here of the state towards Peoria. We also have Galesburg, Ottawa, some of those regions there in that 30% risk for damaging winds. Like I was saying, 70 plus. It could be possible. Now, the overall risk where we could see 70 plus mile an hour winds also does extend into like central and northeastern Kansas, where there will also be the possibility for those winds getting 70 plus. Although it is a little bit lower of a probability across Kansas, it is still the potential for the same impacts. So that's something we need to look out there for. Let's see, what's up, Indiana? Hope you're doing good. Let's see here. What's up, Cherokee? See, Florida's underwater. Am I okay? Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm not really dealing with much of flooding. A lot of the rain is further south of me, thankfully. We do need the rain though, so I'm just not that much rain. What's up, Stormchaser? Hope you're doing good, man. Glad to have you here. But yeah, so like I said, damaging winds will be a big problem for today. But then we hop our way into hail. Hail is also a 30 sig risk for today, so we're talking potential hail 2 inches in diameter and larger. So we are certainly seeing wind-driven hail potential for today. So we're going to have some really strong winds. We're going to have some really large hail mixing together, which could be a bit of an issue for today. So yeah, portions of northern Missouri, just kind of north of Kansas City, we got a 30% hatch risk for hail. Once again, 2 inches in diameter hailstones are possible, and larger potentially. Like I said, southeastern portions here of Iowa, out there by let's see, Washington, just some of the areas by Centerville, Burlington. You guys are in that 30% risk out there for hail as well. So 30% chance of seeing hail 2 inches in diameter within 25 miles of your given area. So that is kind of something we need to look out there for. And of course, that 30% risk for hail also extends its way out there into like northwestern Illinois, towards let's see here, Peru, Ottawa. We have ourselves let's see, Galesburg, just some of those regions up there in northwestern Illinois there, where we do have a 30% chance of seeing hail, once again 2 inches in diameter and larger. So that is the overall risk for today, y'all. That is currently what we are dealing with. Once again, we do got ourselves an enhanced risk for today, a level 3 threat out of 5, with the greatest potential for severe weather, once again, being across northern Missouri, southeastern Iowa, and portions like kind of north central and northwestern Illinois. That is where the greatest potential, with also a pretty decent shot for severe weather stretching all the way down to the panhandle of Texas, going all the way up into basically central Michigan, with the lowest in severe threat, which is still a potential for severe storms, although it's lower probability, which does reach its way all the way up towards the upper state of Michigan, seeing the possibility out there for severe weather too. And obviously this does work its way out, even out there towards Colorado as well. Near Denver has a shot for maybe a couple strong to potentially severe storms. So we'll continue to watch that here overall. Anyways, guys, let's go and hop over here to the models. We're going to take a look at the HRRR here, the latest run. Actually, we're going to take a look at the 12 Zulu run here, which is the extended run of the HRRR. So today's mode, or the timing regarding today's event in the mode here overall, it looks like we could start to see some storms developing out there towards, like, it kind of seems like we're going to start to see some storms developing in, like, northern Illinois, maybe out there towards the Great Lakes near southwestern Michigan. Could start to see some storm activity right around maybe 4 or 5 o'clock p.m. or so. That's whenever the event seems to kind of start. Also around that time as well, we could have a couple storms developing in the Central Plains as well, out there by like western Kansas, like western Oklahoma, certainly is a possibility. Now, as we continue to work our way down in time, the big stuff is not expected to develop until right around 5 o'clock, 5 or 6 o'clock Eastern time. So that is right there around 4 to 5 o'clock Central time, which is where the risk is at today. It's in the Central time zone. So yeah, you can see we have ourselves a lot of storms that start to develop out there right there around the late afternoon, early evening here. So right around the late afternoon, early evening commute, we start to see a lot of that activity starting to pop up there. And as we continue to roll into the evening here, at this point, right around 7 Central, just before sunset, we are going to be seeing a large, potentially line of storms that will be rolling its way throughout the main risk area. Maybe a couple other discrete supercells, some discrete, severe thunderstorms in some of these other areas. Maybe a couple near Chicago, maybe some out there towards Michigan around this time as well. So definitely is something we need to look out there for. Right around 10 o'clock Eastern time, 11 o'clock. Storms will be continuing, should mostly be out of Iowa at that point. And of course, like I said, we still have some really strong storm activity popping off out there in like Illinois around this time. So right around 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern, which will be 10 o'clock Central, we should still see quite a bit of activity regarding severe weather and just storms in general out there by central Illinois. Kansas City could be seeing a couple storms around that time as well. As well as, like I said, maybe a few other storms developing or popping off out there towards the Central Plains as well. Then, of course, as we continue to progress our way into the midnight hours, it does seem like things are going to start to kind of fade off kind of around mid-morning tomorrow. According to the models here, maybe around like maybe 3, 4 o'clock a.m. Eastern is when those storms are going to start to really kind of die down here. But bottom line, like I was saying, the main event here for everything here is going to start to develop here as early as like 4 Eastern, 3 Central, which we could start to see a few storms popping up in northern Illinois, according to the HRRR, which then the main event is expected to potentially roll off here a little bit later, possibly around maybe like 5, 6 Eastern time or 4, 5 Central time is kind of what we are looking out there for. So there's the models overall. That's kind of what we're seeing here. Once again, we are seeing kind of a mode of almost a line of storms rolling through, once again starting late this afternoon into the evening overall. So that is what I wanted to mention there. What's up, King? Hope you're doing good, man. Let's see here. What's up, Weather Stormlord? Say it as Tipton, Indiana, in the marginal or slight risk. It's the furthest north I could track. So you said Tipton. Let's see here. I'm not too sure where Tipton is. Here, let me pull it up real quickly for you. Let's see, Tipton, Indiana. You are in the marginal. You're in the level 1 threat, my friend. So yeah, potential for a couple isolated severe storms out there. It'd probably be pretty late, honestly, according to like the HRRR. Let me pull up the NAM3K. So obviously it's good to compare models. It's never really good to just trust one model run or one model. So we're going to take a look at the NAM3K, the 12 Zulu run that just came, actually is currently rendering. So according to this model, honestly, it's relatively similar in the fact of kind of showing maybe a big cluster, if not a small line of storms developing. Timing is pretty similar as well. Maybe around 5 or 6 o'clock Eastern time is whenever the NAM3K also shows those storms starting to pop up out there towards the main risk area here for today. So yeah, when it comes to it, though, I mean, HRRR, the NAM3K, they're actually in pretty decent sync with one another. Overall. So that is a bit of good info there. Now, when it comes to like southern Michigan, according to the NAM 3K, which I don't think that the HRRR picked up on, it kind of shows, you know, right around 4 Central, 5 Eastern, maybe a line or so could be kicking off out there towards Michigan. That's just something we're going to need to watch. You know, it's just something we're going to need to observe to kind of see what's going to happen. I will do coverage later today. I'm not too sure what time, but I'm going to shoot for maybe around 4 or 5 Eastern time. That's when I'm going to, you know, shoot to go live. So maybe around this time here in the time frame. So right around here is when I'm going to go live here, and then things should start popping off shortly after. So I'm going to be planning to go live around 4 or 5. It just depends on, you know, observations. I'm going to be watching the weather throughout the day. So obviously, if we do get ourselves something that, you know, or things start to pop off here, then I might go live a little earlier. So we'll see. So we'll keep that in mind. But anyways, y'all. Let's see here. But yeah, so that's kind of the main thing. Now, I do want to take y'all over here to a quick detour. We're going to take a look at the tropics real quick. Something's been happening in the tropics lately. We got ourselves not one, but 2 systems we are watching out there for. We got ourselves a disturbance that just passed off the peninsula of Florida here. It's been driving a lot of rain out there. So we got ourselves a 20/20 chance. So basically, probability of this storm turning into a tropical depression over the next 48 hours or 2 days is a 20% chance. Odds are fairly low, so honestly, we're not really expecting that to develop really anytime soon. Probability in the next 7 days or the next week there is also a 20% chance. So the probability of this storm or this disturbance here turning into a tropical depression seems pretty low, but it is a possibility. However, then we work our way down into the southern Gulf. Now, this is where things get a little more interesting. So they actually upgraded that risk, or upgraded that area, or AOI, area of interest we've been watching here since yesterday. They actually upgraded the probability to a 40% chance of a tropical depression forming in the next week. However, the next 48 hours, the next 2 days, we're not expecting any tropical depression development or any tropical storm activity then. So within the next 2 days, we are pretty good. But like I said, when it comes to it, over the next 7 days, there is a possibility that we could get ourselves a tropical system forming. Now, let me take you guys over to the models real quickly. This is actually something I really want to show you all with the latest information. This is something I kind of waited to see with you guys. So there's been some support lately in the models here of a system kind of crossing in the EPAC, the Eastern Pacific, kind of going over southern Mexico and developing a strong low in the southern Gulf. So let's go and see the latest GFS here. I don't think the 12 Zulu is quite out yet. But as we work our way down in time here, you can kind of see, according to the, it's kind of hard to make out, but according to the GFS, we could get ourselves a low developing out there, possibly right around like the 17th, maybe the 18th of June here. So that is a possibility that we're going to have to look out there for overall. And, of course, you know, GFS and Fantasyland showing another system developing in the Southern Caribbean. I wouldn't take too much of that into consideration. I know it looks pretty scary far down in time. Never trust the models, especially for this time of the year, going out this far. This right here, I can almost guarantee you it's not going to happen. But yeah, for the one out there in the Southern Gulf, though, you know, here for potentially like the 17th and the 18th, it's certainly a possibility, as the models have been talking about it for the last little bit. If we hop over here to the CMC model, this is another weather model here. The CMC model also does show this, actually a little bit stronger. You can actually see maybe more towards a tropical storm, according to the CMC model there. So that is certainly a possibility. But yeah, overall, we'll keep an eye on it. And also that, that one disturbance there that we're watching that just crossed off the coast of Florida. The waters are going to quickly cool, so right as it reaches around the area of the mid-Atlantic, the waters are no longer going to support tropical activity. Therefore, it will not be a tropical system. But you know, strengthening of that low is possible as it rolls its way out there towards like Nova Scotia, possibly here for the 16th. We'll have to see how that plays out, and then, of course, high pressure builds in to the eastern seaboard. So overall, between these two systems, the one that just crossed off the coast of Florida, pretty low probability, not too worried about it. However, we could have some impacts maybe from Mexico down in time if depends on what happens with this guy. Models have been kind of hinting towards maybe some activity out there in like southern Mexico, which we could have some tropical impacts. So that is something I wanted to mention here. Anyway, so let's go ahead and work our way back over here to the severe weather for the new viewers that are joining here. Once again, everybody, hope you all are having a great morning. Glad to have you here. What's up, Trudy? Hope you're doing good. Let's see here. Robin says, my husband and I both have family in Miami and Fort Lauderdale. They are flooding really bad. Please keep them in your prayers. Absolutely, Robin. I will for sure. Yeah, it's been pretty crazy down here. Luckily, I'm in Central Florida, so we didn't get as much rain as the folks down in the south. Yeah, the southern tip of Florida really got a lot of rain. I'm out in this area here. We haven't got as much. We've had a lot of rain though. Like I said, don't get me wrong. We have had a lot of rain out there, but it's not nearly as bad as it's been in Florida. So once again, whenever it comes to the rain in Florida, it's still going to be raining for a bit. Unfortunately, the rain will kind of last a little bit here for at least the next day or two. So there's still, unfortunately, a little bit more rain to come. Probably not as much. Most of it's behind us, but there is still potential out there of some rain for those regions there, unfortunately. But anyways, everybody, so like I said, we're going to hop on back over here to the outlook for today. Once again, we got ourselves an enhanced risk, a level 3 threat for severe weather for today. Now, the greatest potential for severe weather today is going to be out there in northern Missouri, portions out there in southeastern Iowa, in places kind of for the north central and northwestern side here of Illinois. That is a level 3 severe weather threat. The scale goes up to 5. A level 3 is a decent risk for severe weather. So some of the populated areas this does include with the level 3 threat overall. We got ourselves Kansas City. You guys are in that level 3 threat. We also have out there by like Davenport in eastern Iowa is in the main risk. Peoria. Illinois, you guys are inside of that level 3 threat, which is the greatest potential for severe weather. The level 2 threat goes all the way from the panhandle of Texas, going all the way up out there towards central and southern Michigan. So if you're in yellow, there still is a decent shot for some severe weather. You're going to definitely want to be weather aware today across those regions. And then lastly, we got that dark green. This is the marginal or the level 1 severe weather threat, the lowest end threat for severe weather, but it is still a threat for severe storms. So keep that in mind. While it is a lower probability, it cannot still be ruled out. So areas out there, as far west as even southeastern Wyoming, out there by Cheyenne, could see maybe a little bit of severe weather activity. Possibly. It's quite unlikely, but it's a possibility there overall. Now, like I was saying, unfortunately, all hazards will be on the table for today. Tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds will be a concern for today. Whenever it comes to tornadic activity, we got ourselves a 5% risk out there for tornadoes. So for portions out there in northern Missouri, places out there in southeastern Iowa, and kind of northwestern portions here of Illinois, across that brown, that is where the greatest potential for tornadoes will be for today. There is a possibility that we could get a couple tornadoes out there. So keep an eye out there for the regions. This does include areas like Kirksville, Cameron. I'm not saying that these areas will get hit by a tornado. I'm just saying that that's kind of where the greatest concern is in that general area. So pretty much just northern Missouri here, southeastern Iowa, and a little sliver up there in northwestern Illinois. Now, the overall tornado threat for today, so where tornadoes are possible, is across the dark green and the brown. Once again, brown being the greatest concern, 5% chance of a tornado every 25 miles of that brown shaded area. So there's a possibility for a couple of tornadoes today. Now, when it comes to the overall tornado probability, we have the potential for tornadoes today across northeastern Kansas, portions of kind of north central and northern Missouri, kind of portions of southern and southeastern portions of Iowa, central and northern Illinois, northern Indiana, and a lot of the state of Michigan has a potential for a couple tornadoes today. That is where the tornadic risk is for today. Let's see here. We also do have a little 2% risk out there near Fort Lauderdale and Miami. Odds of having tornadoes out here is very low, but a couple spin-ups cannot be ruled out. Now, here's the thing, my friends. We have a really big concern regarding damaging winds and hail today. Yesterday was the main driver of hail. Today is both the driver of hail and damaging winds. Now, whenever it comes to hail overall, we got ourselves a 30% chance of seeing hail basically 2 inches in diameter and larger. Greatest potential for hail today with a 30% chance of it happening within 25 miles of your area. For northern Missouri, there's a 30% chance of, once again, hail 2 inches in diameter and larger. That's over golf ball size possible. So we're talking some pretty big chunks of hail for today. Also, like southeastern areas of Iowa and basically northwestern portions here of Illinois has that potential. Now, where you see this black netting area, this right here, my friends, this is the region where we could see 2 inches in diameter regarding hail and potentially larger. Now, the other areas here that's not in that black kind of netted area here, these are just your normal risk areas. Across these regions, the probability of hail is, depending on the color here, which is a 15% chance across the yellow, 30% chance across the red, 5% chance across the brown. But out here, since there's not that hatch risk area, hail out in this region is going to be kind of right around 1 to 2 inches in diameter. So a little bit lower, but yeah, 2+ inch hail is going to be possible out across that this area here. So keep that in mind, my friends. Like I said, potential for some really large hail here for today. Now, when it comes to damaging winds, now this is kind of one of the things that yesterday was lacking. Today, we have the potential of some really strong winds. We're talking 70+ mile an hour wind gusts seems quite likely. With a 30% chance, once again, kind of for the same as hail. But yeah, so northern Missouri, southeastern Iowa, and like northwestern portions out there in Illinois, we have a 30% chance of seeing, once again, damaging winds 70+ miles an hour. So there is a really good shot that we could have ourselves, like I said, some pretty strong winds. Now, the overall potential of 70+ mile an hour wind gusts goes all the way down into Kansas as well, which is a little bit lower of a probability, down to 15%. Once again, 30% across the brown, and so out there towards the other areas that's not included in that kind of black circle there, these areas we're potentially going to see those winds around 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts, and the areas inside of that black circle here is potentially 70+. So that is kind of the overall outlook here for today. Now, because I want to, let me go ahead and turn off the convective outlook real quickly. I do want to look at the day one outlook regarding flooding today, because we do have ourselves a moderate risk, a very big risk for flooding, as you can expect, out here in southern Florida for today, including Miami, Fort Lauderdale, also Naples, Florida. We do have ourselves a big flooding threat for today. The scale goes up to 4 for flooding, and we're at a level 3 out of 4, so we're almost top of the line flooding threat here for today. So once again, big concern for flooding, once again, for the southern tip of Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, places out there by Naples as well. Make sure you guys are weather aware. And of course, that level 2 out of 4 threat, the middle threat here, goes up towards like Arcadia, out there barely towards Tampa, towards Port St. Lucie, pretty much nothing really further north of that. And then the level 1 threat goes up there towards like Orlando, Tampa, up all the way up towards Ocala. Is going to be in that level 1 threat. Now, we actually do have ourselves a level 1 flooding threat as well for the main risk area here for today. So areas up there in central and northern Missouri, southeastern Iowa, central and northern Illinois, and kind of central and northern Indiana, we do got ourselves a level 1 flooding threat as well. So there is a possibility that for some of those low-lying areas that we could have ourselves maybe a little bit of flooding. So just keep that in mind out there, my friends. Once again, as there is a potential for maybe a little bit of flooding in those regions there, okay? So that's something that we're going to definitely need to watch out for. Once again, the main problem is going to be there in Florida, which is all of that rain that we've been seeing for the last couple days. It's been absolutely crazy out there. Let's see here. It's already hot in places. Oh, dude, it's already hot here, and it's only 10 in the morning. It's just, Florida's been very hot lately. It's that time of the year, man. That time of the year. Let's see here. Sorry about that noise in the background. They're working on something out there. Let's see here. Praying for everyone. Hopefully everyone's okay letting me chat. You guys take care. You too, Deborah. Thanks for joining me. Appreciate it. What time will Chicago have storms coming in? Good question. So, for today, we're going to hop over here back to the day one outlook real quickly. So regarding the timing of the storms, we were looking at this here in the beginning of the stream here. Whenever it comes to it, we are actually seeing those storms kicking off out there possibly right around the late afternoon, early evening. It depends on what model you look at, because the HRRR shows the possibility here of maybe a few storms developing as early as maybe 4 o'clock here or so. So it could be as early as 4, but it looks like that's going to, start to really pick up overnight, kind of for the late evening, right around 11, just before midnight or so. So it's going to be as early as the late afternoon. I'd say no earlier than 3 or 4 for you. That's kind of what I'm thinking. After 3 or 4, that's kind of when that window opens up. Basically throughout midnight and slightly after midnight, before that threat, pretty much dies out there. But yeah, so I would expect it no earlier than 3 o'clock. I mean, Mother Nature can surprise you sometimes, but we're expecting initiation, development of these storms to start anywhere from like 3 to 5 p.m. So that is kind of the timing there. What's up, Court? Hope you're doing good. Hope you are doing all right. But yeah, so Chicago, once again, you guys are actually in a level 2 threat for today. So just a bit of a lookout for Chicago. We got a 2% tornado risk, possibility for an isolated tornado or two, but once again, odds are very low. It's nothing to stress really over. Damaging winds, we got actually a potential for some strong wind gusts today, potentially 70-plus mile-an-hour wind gusts out of some storms. Is theoretically possible. So just heads up out there towards Chicago, as we could see some really strong winds. Hail, we got ourselves also a hatch risk here for hail, where we are seeing the potential for hail being 2 inches in diameter and larger out of some storms. So Chicago has a pretty big shot for hail and damaging winds, with a small chance out there for tornadoes. So that is a level 2 threat out of 5 for you, my friend. What time were storms to start in Michigan? So depends on the model, actually. Like I said, the HRRR, the latest HRRR run, shows those storms rolling in maybe around like, let's see here, 5 Eastern, 4 Central, roughly, around that time. Take that with a grain of salt. Now, if you look at the NAM 3K, which is the NAM model, the North American model, this one has storms developing here a little bit earlier, actually probably around like 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern time. So, it could be as early as the early afternoon. Honestly, I'd say anywhere from probably 2 to 4 p.m. would probably be right around when those storms are expected to develop. Like I said, I'm going to keep a close eye on the weather today. I'm going to be watching it. I do plan on doing coverage later, so keep that in mind. I will be doing coverage for you guys out there in order to, keep you all weather aware and, obviously be prepared, of course. And so we will be live later on today to do some coverage for you guys. Let's see here. Let's see here. Let's see. What about 46725? Let's see here. 46725. Where's this at? Indiana. Okay, so you're in a level. So you're in a level 2 threat. You're right there in northern Indiana. So yeah, whenever it comes to it, the winds and stuff like that are not going to be as strong as we're looking out there towards Chicago. So damaging winds, we have a 15% chance of damaging winds. We're going to be seeing those winds gusting between 60 and 70 miles an hour. In terms of hail, between 1 and 2 inches in diameter. Actually, a 5% risk for hail. Tornado probs, you're right on the edge of that 2% tor. More than likely, you're not going to have any tornadic activity. Knock on wood, of course. The odds are very low for tornadic activity. Your main concern, actually, I think, is going to be out there for damaging wind gusts overall. So, yeah, we'll definitely keep it out there for that here for today. Let's see here. What about Peoria? So yeah, Peoria is actually in a pretty hefty threat for today. We do got ourselves, let's see here. Got ourselves that level 3 enhanced risk for today out there in Peoria. We are seeing a 5% tornado threat, so a possibility for a couple isolated tornadoes in the general vicinity of Peoria. Once again, probability of you specifically getting a tornado is very low still, so don't let that scare you too much. Like I said, don't let this scare you at all, because like I said, 5% risk, while there is a possibility for a couple tornadoes in the area. Once again, the odds of you specifically getting one is pretty low. Damaging winds, though. Yeah, we got a 30% SIG risk for damaging winds. So there's a 30% chance within 25 miles of you that there could be some damaging winds, potentially 70-plus miles an hour. So we could have winds in excess of 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts, what the winds could peak up to. In terms of hail, we got a 30 SIG risk for hail, where we are seeing the potential out there for hail 2 inches in diameter, so larger than golf ball, and potentially higher than that. So overall, like I said, it's a pretty solid threat there. Let's see, Misty 63334. Let's take a look at that real quickly. 63334. That is a quite a zip code, I tell you that. Okay, so for today, you are in a level 1 threat. Not really in much of a big concern for today, but there's a potential for an isolated severe storm or two. Odds are not really in your favor too much. So there is a potential for a couple isolated tornadoes out there in kind of north-central Missouri, northeastern Missouri, kind of where you're at. There is a potential for a couple isolated tornadoes, but like I said, the odds are pretty darn low. Damaging winds, 15... Hold on a minute. Wait a minute. This does not line up here. Wait a minute. What just happened? Hold on a second. I am totally confused right now. Was I looking at tornado probability? Sorry, you're in the slight risk. My bad. You're in that level 2 threat for a minute. I was like, what is going on here? So yeah, you're in the level 2 threat for today. We have ourselves a 2% chance for tornadoes. I thought that was the marginal for some reason. 15% chance for damaging wind gusts between 60 and 70 mile an hour wind gusts possible. In terms of hail, yeah, hail's not as much of a problem for you. We have ourselves a 5% chance for hail between 1 and 2 inches in diameter possible. Yeah, so once again, probability for hail is quite low. Your main concern is going to be damaging wind gusts being possible out of a couple isolated storms that could roll through later on tonight. Anyways, so that was for Misty. Holly says, could the risk increase as the day goes on for Jackson, Michigan? I don't think we're going to have an increase in the risk out there, personally. I think we're going to be kind of... I think the risk is going to stay mostly where it is. I don't think we're going to need an upgrade for anywhere in Michigan, really. I think where we're at now is where that's going to stay, personally. I think we have that enhanced, because that's where the main activity is going to develop there. Because if we take a look back at the HRRR here, you can see that, you know, a lot of the main stuff is going to be developing in this region here. That's where the big severe is going to happen, which obviously for Michigan, you can see it's not as crazy looking, you know, not as widespread either. So the probabilities are naturally lower since there is not as many widespread severe storms. So I think we're going to stay where we are at for the most part, considering that models have been pretty consistent on showing where today's main threat is going to be. All right, let's see here. Let's see if I can get here. All right, Mike wants me to take a look here at 65340. Let's take a look here. 65340. Got you, my friend. You're in Missouri. Got a level 2 threat, my friend. Okay, so you're in the slight risk. Kind of our middle level for today. You're not in the biggest, you're not in the smallest threat. There is a 2% chance for tornadoes. So within 25 miles of you, there's a 2% chance a tornado could drop down. Pretty low odds, as you can imagine. So don't let that get your nerves up. We do got ourselves, you're right on the edge of that 30%, but you're actually in a 15% chance of seeing damaging winds, potentially 70 plus miles an hour. There could be some really strong winds with these storms here, so keep an eye out there for that. As time progresses later on, we'll be doing some coverage on it later today. In terms of hail, we are right outside of that hatch risk for hail. We're actually seeing a 15% chance of hail being the size between 1 and 2 inches in diameter overall. So once again, main concern is going to be damaging winds. While it is the same probability as hail, there is a hatch risk for damaging winds, while there's not for hail for your area. So main problem is going to be, once again, the potential for damaging wind gusts out there overall. You're welcome, Holly. No problem. Let's see here. Make sure I got to everybody. All right, Tang wants me to take a look at 48188. Gotcha. We'll do one more zip code here for now, and then I'm going to hop back to the tropics real quickly so we can talk about that with the new people joining in here. Okay, so 48188. So this is for Michigan. We do got ourselves a slight risk for today, level 2 severe weather threat. You're out there near Detroit, so heads up to my Detroit people. We got ourselves a a small chance for a couple isolated tornadoes. Once again, within 25 miles of Detroit, there is a 2% chance a tornado will drop down. The odds are really not in favor. In terms of damaging winds, we've got a 15% chance of damaging winds gusting between 60 and 70 miles an hour, possibly, overall. So, could be some gusty winds out of some of those storms. In terms of hail, we got ourselves a 5% chance for hail. Hail could be ranging between 1 to 2 inches in diameter. So once again, main concern for today is going to be just some gusty winds, maybe some small hail, and once again, a possible outcome of an isolated tornado or two for places here in Michigan. So that's just something we're going to need to look out there for overall. Anyways, Alrighty. Good morning, Tori. Thanks for joining. Hope you're doing good. Let's see. Brooklyn says, when will 74008, is that Tulsa? So Tulsa's not in any concern today. Tulsa's not in any concern tomorrow or the day after that. So the next 3 days you're good. I will mention though, real quickly, tomorrow we have a risk for severe weather up in the northeast. So if you guys are here in the northeast, potential for severe weather with the greatest concern out there between north central Maryland, going through southeastern and eastern Pennsylvania, northern portions of New Jersey out there, as well as places out there in like southern New York State, places out there kind of in Connecticut, portions in Massachusetts, and southern areas here of New Hampshire. So that is a possibility for tomorrow. And of course, day 3, we got a little marginal, 2 little marginals out there. So that is kind of what we're looking out there for. Anyways, y'all, let's go ahead and hop over to the tropics. We're watching not 1, but 2 storm potential here. We got ourselves 2 disturbances. We got disturbance 1 that just rolled off the coast of Florida here. We have a 20% chance of this storm developing into a tropical depression. The odds of this thing developing into a tropical depression is pretty low. So over the next 7 days, next week, there is a 20% chance that this storm here will develop into a tropical depression. So the odds are, as you imagined it, pretty low. So that is that. Over the next 48 hours, same thing, 20% chance overall. So, yeah, I don't expect much out of this storm system. Even if it does develop into something, it's going to be going into cooler waters here pretty soon, as well as it's going to be tracking away mostly from land. So, not much of an issue there. However, disturbance 2 out there in the southern Gulf, that could be a possible issue later down in time. Models have been talking about this for a couple days. Tropical depression could form later on here in the southern Gulf within the next week. Over the next 2 days or the next 48 hours, we are not expecting any development of this system. This is expected to kind of kick off a little bit later down in time. However, over the next week or the next 7 days, there is a 40% chance out there that we could have ourselves, like I said, development of the system here with a 40% chance overall being possible. So like I said, that's just kind of what we're looking out there for, and we're going to have to keep an eye out there for that system overall. Hopping back over here to the models real quickly. So like I was mentioning here with the latest models we have out right now, so the GFS does have a little bit of a system developing out there. You can hardly see it. A bit of a system developing out there kind of right around the 17th and 18th, which, could cause a lot of problems like rainfall issues and a lot of flooding. Could be a bit of a problem out there for like southern Mexico, so we'll definitely keep an eye out there for that. Whenever it comes to CMC model, this model takes it a little bit further, possibly a tropical storm rather than a depression, according to like the GFS, what they were saying. So models are still up for agreement here, but there is support between most of the models here that there could be a system developing later on, and the Hurricane Center did pick up on it and did increase that low probability of development to a medium probability. So it is definitely something that we need to look out there for. Let's see, Mike says the Gulf is very warm. It is very warm, yes. There is a very, very warm Gulf right now. And like I said, here, I'll go and hop y'all over here to this real quickly. Let me go ahead and pull up the ocean analysis. Yeah, so here you go. Here's the waters right now. Absolutely steamy. So we're talking 29, 30 degrees Celsius waters all throughout the Caribbean and portions out there in the Gulf. The Gulf is like a hot tub right now. It is ready for tropical. It's ready for tropical systems. With that one disturbance that's going off the coast of Florida, or that just did, that's going to be heading into a bit of the Gulf Stream, which is going to have a little bit of an interaction, maybe just a little bit of time where it could strengthen a little bit. But eventually, as it gets near the same latitude as as the Mid-Atlantic, it's going to be a lot cooler of waters, which will not support any of that development overall. So that is kind of what we're talking here. But once again, the Gulf though, and the Caribbean, it's ready. It's ready for tropical activity. So don't be surprised within the next couple of weeks if things start to increase regarding tropical systems activity, as it's starting to definitely get to that point where it is possible. So we'll definitely keep it out there for the tropics. That's another thing we need to really start paying attention to over the next little bit. But anyways, you guys, well, I think we're going to go ahead and head off here. Like I said, we already went over everything like twice, so all the information is laid out for you guys. If you want to go back on the live stream, rewind back to the beginning, go ahead and do so. Like I said, we'll be live later on today. I'm shooting for maybe 4 or 5 Eastern time. I'm not too sure when I'm going to go live quite yet. But right around 4 or 5 Eastern time is when I'm going to plan to go live here. Could be a little later, could be a little earlier. We'll see. So we'll definitely keep that up there. But anyways, my friends, well, once again, thank you all for joining. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. If you haven't already, consider subscribing, leaving a like. It'll be greatly appreciated. Helps get that word out there and helps everything out. So once again, thank you guys for being here. You guys are awesome. And like I said, if there's anything else I can do for you before I head off here, feel free to let me know. And I will take a look real quickly. So if there's any further questions you guys might have, feel free to let me know. And but once again, everybody, thank you so much for joining us, and I appreciate y'all being here. Once again, thank you guys. Appreciate it. Let's see here. But yeah, once again, if y'all have any questions before we roll off here in a few minutes, just let me know. Let's go and hop your way back over here to this screen real quickly. So for tomorrow, like I was saying, we have another slight risk here tomorrow. Tornado probability, we have a 2% risk out there for some tornadoes tomorrow. Let's see, damaging winds. I actually got a 15 sig risk tomorrow up there in Nebraska, Kansas, and northeastern Colorado. That is actually interesting. So we could have once again, some strong winds. Hail, 15 non-sig. So 1 to 2 inch hailstones, and once again, significant wind damage possible out there in some of those regions. So we'll have to keep an eye out there for that. We'll be live tomorrow for this as well. Overall. Let's see. The Gulf is probably warmer than it was last year. It is. It is already warmer, yes. As well as much of the Atlantic. Much of the Atlantic is a lot warmer than it has been. Let's see. You have a good day too, James. Thanks for joining, man. Thank you. Roby says, thanks, Andrew. No problem. You're welcome, Roby. You are very welcome. Glad to have you here, y'all. You're welcome, Mike. Very, very welcome. But alrighty, guys. Well, once again, make sure you leave a like. Hit that subscribe button on the way out. That's going to go ahead and wrap it up for now, y'all. Thank you once again for joining us, and we will catch you all later on today. Once again, anywhere from 4 to 6 o'clock Eastern is whenever I do plan on going live. But alrighty, guys. Thanks for joining. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll catch you later on.